here at New Broadcasting House in the centre of London, soon to be the home of BBC World News. Thousands of people will be heading here over the next few weeks, and for the first time in the BBC's long broadcasting history, all the programmes at home and abroad that are made for news audiences where you are or here around us in the UK too will be coming from this one building. We'll be meeting some of the people who make those programmes and also previewing the best on offer here on BBC World News this weekend. Coming up, Our World investigates the persecution faced by gay people living in Iran, the Kenyan athletes who dream of shining in the next Paralympic Games, and a day in the life of Europe's biggest city, Moscow. So I'm now on the floor of the newsroom, and it's also new. Look, I picked up a sign that says "Do not use" because people are on their way here in the next few weeks. This behind me is where BBC World News colleagues will be writing and preparing the bulletins and the headlines. And my guide to everything that's going on is head of news on BBC World News, Andrew Roy. Thanks for letting us in.
That's all right.
So when's everyone coming?
In the autumn, but at the moment what we're doing is testing everything, which is why you're not allowed to touch certain bits of the equipment.
And what is the scope of everyone coming together?
For the first time, we're going to have TV, radio, online, global and domestic, all in one newsroom. And we have the added benefit of all our language service colleagues in floors above us, whereas previously we were scattered across London.
Now, the BBC loves to talk about itself, and our viewers now, I think, will be daring us to talk about them. If I've been watching BBC World News for 15 years or more, what changes will I see?
You're going to see a very different looking channel. It's going to be very dynamic, very energetic, very bright, very vivid. Our journalism is not going to change. Our objectivity, the way we tackle stories and present them to the audience is what's going to change. It's hopefully going to be far more engaging, warmer, more interactive. We're really going to try and make a very visible difference, but keep to our core values, the things that people come to us for, that they rely for us on.
Now, we do hear from viewers who worry that we sometimes get very obsessed with events in Britain and Europe. If you bring everyone together, how can you be sure that one culture doesn't sort of overtake? For instance, take a programme like Focus on Africa. Will that just become part of a homogenous world?
No, because what we are very focused on is that we regionalise our output. So if you are in a particular part of the world in the evening watching us, we know you're watching us. So we want to give you the top international stories that we think you would be interested in, but we also want to let you know that we know what's happening in your part of the world, and we know what are the important issues where you live. Because we are an international broadcaster, a global broadcaster. We are reporting the whole world. We're not just reporting a British view on the world.
Gadgets, can you promise us anything shiny? What will I see?
You will see far more vivid, more high definition. You will see more movement. You will see presenters on new sets that are far more eye-catching. And you will see enhanced storytelling from us, because a lot of our stories that we cover are really complex and difficult. We're now going to be able to explain and analyse those stories in a far more engaged manner, a far more accessible manner.
Will you enhance the presenters? Can you do anything about them?
No, the presenters I still think are pretty good. No, the presenters are going to be the presenters. They are going to look a bit different because you'll be viewing them on a wider screen and in higher definition, but they're still going to be the same presenters.
Do you enjoy anything particularly about being here yourself?
The thing I enjoy about here is finally being sat with colleagues who I've only ever been able to talk to on the telephone or schlep across London on the Central Line to work with. And those colleagues are people who have intimate knowledge of some of the countries that we are getting stories out of. They're living the stories in those countries in some of the bureaus that they've got there. And there's just a vast amount of experience in the BBC that we've tried to tap into, but the London logistics have made it difficult. Now we're all going to be together, and so you're going to get more of that expertise on screen, and you're going to get more stories. We're going to have a wider variety of things we can tell the audience.
Now, you're obviously very excited about this, and we wish you well, Andrew, but will you come back and face the verdict of our viewers?
Yes, I'd happily return and face the verdict. I think the viewers will absolutely love it.
Andrew Roy, thank you very much. Now, for the past decade or more, Iraq has seldom been off our screens. Of course, the reports have mostly been about conflict. But in our world this weekend, Natalia Antilava has been to Baghdad to investigate persecution being suffered by gay men and women in Iraq.
In a safe house outside Iraq,